Hi, Sandra Wilson here. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist and I work with a condition called trichotillomania, which is when you compulsively pull your hair out, even though you don't want to. So something interesting came up today as I was just browsing through social media, and somebody was saying that they thought back to when they first started pulling, and it's an interesting thing to reflect on. So do you remember when you first started pulling your hair out? And when it starts in childhood, as it commonly does, we don't logically think, well, I think I'm just going to pull my hair out because that's going to be super helpful. What tends to happen is we discover it, usually quite by accident, and it either feels good or we attach some kind of significance to it. So for example, if you started pulling when you were going through some kind of trauma or very challenging time, and you just notice that it feels soothing, it really grounds you in the present moment, and that can start an association in the subconscious mind, which basically means this is good, this feels good, and therefore I am safe. And then a pattern is created which becomes self-fulfilling and autonomous and very powerful. And in some cases, a different type of significance could be attached to it. So rather like OCD, somebody might start pulling an eyelash or a hair from their head, thinking somehow that it will prevent something bad from happening, and if they continue to do it, nothing bad will happen. And it's quite similar. I mean, I've had clients who, for example, they first noticed that they didn't want to step on the cracks in pavements in case something bad happens, or they did, or they avoided doing or started doing something that, even though it makes no logical sense, they believed that they could avert disaster. And in a childlike brain, even though as adults we know it doesn't really make sense, it could be viewed as a bit superstitious or fanciful, but when you are a child, it just feels magical, and it feels almost as though it ties into wishful thinking in some way. So children don't have a very fully developed intellectual capacity, and they just don't have the ability to apply logic and, I suppose, common sense in the way adults do. So it might be that you have no idea when you started or why you started, but sometimes it can be quite interesting to just cast your mind back and really try to pinpoint what you were thinking, what you were feeling, what you were doing when you first started to pull your hair out. Was it a response to something stressful or traumatic? Was it something that just helped you feel more focused or soothed? Maybe it was something different. And once you start to get a little bit of intelligence, is that the right word, around the problem, a little bit of intel, a bit of reflection, that can often really give you some pointers as to how to tackle this for good. And sometimes it's possible to do this by yourself. Other people need help, and it's never too late to reach out for help, even if you've been pulling for a long time since you were a child. So if what I've said makes sense, give me a thumbs up, and I'll be back another time. Bye for now.